Azeem Ibrahim, welcome to Glasgow, a city you know very well because I think this is where you were born.
Absolutely. Actually, in fact, I was born not too far from here.
Right.
You probably walk it.
Well, welcome home anyway, and it's terrific that you're with us here at the Asia Scotland Institute tonight to discuss with us your book about the Rohingyas and the seemingly desperate situation in Myanmar, formerly Burma. It's particularly interesting for us because the objective and mission of the Asia Scotland Institute, which is now 5 years old, is to engage with young people in Scotland, and in particular to, I suppose, educate and inspire tomorrow's leaders and equip them with the knowledge about Asia as a whole and the interrelationships between the countries of Asia. So it's great that you're here.
Thanks so much for having me.
And I wonder if we could just start off, because we're talking before the main address you're going to give, if you could tell me what moved you to write this book and what the principal takeaways are that we'll be chatting about.
Sure. Well, I came across the Rohingya issue approximately half a decade ago.
Yes.
I read somewhere that they're amongst the most persecuted minority in the world.
Yeah.
So I tried to find out more about them, and then I was quite surprised that there's a real paucity of information around them.
Yes.
There was no major campaigns, there was no celebrity endorsements, and in fact there was not a single book on the topic, despite these people being described as some of the largest stateless group in the world.
Yes.
So I wrote a number of op-eds on the topic, and I did that over a couple of years, trying to just raise awareness and find out more about the topic for myself. And subsequent to that, I made a number of trips to Myanmar and to Bangladesh,
Yes.
and followed that up with trips to Thailand and Malaysia to investigate trafficking routes. So the book essentially came out of that, about the kind of research I did on the ground and some of the historical kind of archive research.
Yes. Yeah. And did you encounter resistance when you were doing that? Because we've seen recently, of course, some reporters who have been sent on trial and into jail, aren't they, from Reuters, I think.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, at the time when I was doing my research, 2014, 2015, I didn't encounter any resistance.
No.
I went to Myanmar on a tourist visa, and I was smuggled into the camps. I spent some time in the open-air camps.
Yes.
I think now, I am told, though, I'm on the no-entry list. I've had contact indirectly with the Myanmar embassy in the United States, saying that I'm not welcome there because I entered the country in the past on a fraudulent basis as a tourist and actually went for investigative purposes.
Yes.
But at the time there was no resistance at all. It was a relatively straightforward process.
Yeah. I'm sure you're going to talk about the fact that the Rohingyas themselves are sort of dispossessed because they were, for a very long time, perfectly respectable citizens of what was Burma.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So claims that they're not are historically untrue, is that correct?
Absolutely, and this is one of the things I tried to examine in my book. The main accusation that's made against the Rohingya, and you will still hear it today, is that these people are all illegal immigrants that came from Bangladesh, and the Myanmar authorities actually refer to them as Bengalis. And one of the things I tried to ascertain in my book is the veracity of these accusations. And what I did is I dug up documents from the Indian National Archive in New Delhi, some of them dating back to the time of British Burma in 1824, 1826, when the British Colonial Office had done extensive surveys in that region. And it states very clearly that this entire region in fact has the same proportion of Rohingya back in 1826 as it does today. So this idea that they were all illegal immigrants that came over from Bangladesh after the Second World War doesn't stand up to historical scrutiny.
And there's a particularly aggressive form of Buddhism, isn't there, which the military seem to be aligning themselves with. How do you explain that? Because when we think of Buddhism, it is we think of the Dalai Lama, we think of people who are calm and peaceful and embracing of others. That is not the case, is it?
That's right, yeah. Well, the form of Buddhism they follow in Myanmar and Burma is not the Buddhism that you and I will be familiar with. They don't recognise the Dalai Lama, for example. Many of them believe the Dalai Lama is a fraud. There's a form of Buddhism called Theravada Buddhism, which can be very militant in its nature. Many of them believe that all other ideologies and all other religions have to be kept in check and have to be suppressed for Buddhism to thrive. And many of the Buddhist monks, you can hear their sermons on YouTube, they clearly state that all non-Buddhists are only half human beings. So when you do kill them or when you do oppress them, you're not actually oppressing a human being. And some of them go as far as saying that the Rohingya minority have actually been reincarnated from snakes and insects. So they're not actually, when you kill them, you're actually wiping out vermin. You're doing the world a favour.
And in your subsequent book, which is talking about Islamic extremism, that resonates a bit as well. Those who kill others because they think that they're not acceptable.
Absolutely, and this is the interesting thing is that we always thought, certainly my belief was that Buddhism would be immune from these kind of ideas, but it kind of demonstrates, I think, more than anything else, that all ideologies, whether they're religious or even if they're political, we've seen some non-religious ideologies, whether it's the hard right or the hard left, they subscribe to these kinds of ideas, and the extremism can emerge in any kind of system, in any kind of idea, and you have people that dehumanize and attack others. And Islam is no different, and this is the argument that I make in my book, is that there is a strand of Islam, a very right-wing, extremist version of Islam that has managed to perpetuate and contaminate the brand.
Which came out of Wahhabism.
Came out of Wahhabi Islam, absolutely, yeah.
So thinking now of Myanmar, Burma and the Rohingyas, how does it all play out? How does this awful story end, in your view?
Unfortunately, I do not see the Rohingya being repatriated to Myanmar. There's almost 1 million of them now in Bangladesh, and some of the largest refugee camp in the world. I don't believe Myanmar is serious in trying to take them back. We have been here before, in many years, 92, 93, 2012. What I believe Myanmar is now engaged in is an exercise to buy time until the world attention moves on, and these people become a permanent fixture in Bangladesh. So I believe that there's going to be a combination of solutions, I certainly hope, and that will be, some of them will be repatriated, and that I think will be a token kind of gesture, and maybe 1,000 families or so, and they will be placed in these camps, which Myanmar has done before. They won't be given any of the kind of rights in the past. And unfortunately, the main solution is probably going to be incentivising Bangladesh to absorb them into their own population. Now I say that unfortunately because it essentially means that Myanmar has gotten away with its ethnic cleansing, something that they have desired for so long. They have worked half a century for this, and it will essentially mean they have gotten away with it. And so part of the solution will be to hold those architects behind this ethnic cleansing, this genocide, to hold them accountable and to have them brought to the International Criminal Court one way or another in the future.
Well, a lot of people are going to be extremely interested in what you have to say. I'm sure you'll get some robust questions. But it is, funny enough, because of the Scottish connections also with Burma, and the Irrawaddy River Company, I think, run from Glasgow, used to be the biggest river ferry company in the world. A lot of people are concerned, and I know we're fascinated by what you have to say. So thank you again for coming home and talking to us here tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks,
I appreciate it.